Greetings, everyone. So, narcissists will devalue you. And there's a cycle, I forget exactly what it is, but it's love bombing, devalue, and then there's another cycle, and then it just goes around and around. Kind of like if you guys have ever been around a couple that they break up, they make up, and then they fight, and then, it's like that. So, it's been my experience, and it is my belief that narcissists will love bomb you. Like, especially when they first meet you. And relatives can do it as well, especially if they know the types of things that you like or enjoy. But the love bombing, and I always say this, it's like too much. It's like over the top. Let's say, I use examples of a heterosexual woman because I am one and it's easier for me to be in those shoes. So let's say you're a heterosexual woman that meets a friend at your workplace, which is bad idea number one. But let's just say you meet a friend at your workplace. You just started there. And she is just like so over the top. She's like, girl, did you hear this? Girl, you know how she is, blah, blah, blah. Oh, give me a tip on that assignment that the manager gave us. Things like that. Because narcissists have to have a use for you. You are their supply. Their narcissistic supply. So, this other woman you made friends with at work, let's call her Trish. Let's say her name is Trish. And Trish is just like, girl, you can ride with me. Like when you're going out to see clients or whatever. And she's like super, super nice. And it's kind of, it feels good to be treated so nicely because you're just learning the job and it's kind of a stressful job. And you dish a little bit, not too much because, you got to be careful with that. But it's kind of a crazy, stressful, nonprofit environment and you're like, oh my God, is this for real? And it's nice to have someone to kind of vent a little bit to. And the next thing you know, out of nowhere, for no reason that you can understand, this gal Trish stops talking to you. And you're like, what the heck? You're thinking to yourself, the first thing you're going to think, because I think you probably will think this, what did I do? Because we always do that, right? What did I do? Fact is, you did nothing wrong. These are the games that they play. And then when they see you, when Trish sees you at work, she'll be kind of rude and obnoxious. And you're like, okay. You just kind of go with the flow. And also, people like this are going to cause all kinds of tension in the workplace. They can't live without it. They have to have it. So, you just mind your own business, keep doing your job, doing the tasks that you're supposed to do. And then, one day out of the clear blue sky, your manager pulls you into the office. Eyes, can I talk to you privately? Okay. In the back of your mind, you're kind of like thinking, what's going on? What did I do? What's going on? You get into the office and then your manager tells you, you know, I've been getting complaints on you. And you're baffled and you're confused. You're like, what? Like crazy me the way I think, I'd be like, complaints? Am I that important that I get complained on? You know? So, you don't know who it is because this person is writing crazy. This happened to me, actually. This person is writing really crazy emails about you to the director and to the manager. And because your director and your manager are like, they have a good, first of all, they have good integrity, but they also have good intuition, and they ignore all these complaints. So that person that was trying to be your friend, the fake friend, Trish, she's the one who was putting in the complaints. You find this out later. Nothing happens because your manager and director are decent human beings, and your HR are decent human beings, which everybody knows that's very few and far between. But it's the devalue. So what happened was your coworker Trish was trying to devalue you at your job. And fortunately it didn't work. But there are so many different ways that a narcissist will devalue you. And they absolutely have to devalue you. Because their value depends on your value being less. So the spotlight cannot be on you. You cannot be prettier. You cannot be smarter. You cannot be getting any kind of attention around this person because their self-esteem and self-worth are so low that it's like the way they think about things is that there's only so much air in a room and they need to have all the air. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope it does. But it's really crazy because, and it's sad to me because if a person spent a lot of time to improve their self-worth, you know, internally through affirmations or whatever would work for them, if they really did this, which a narcissist won't do this, they won't do it honestly. So they will continue through life going around devaluing other people. Narcissistic parents do it to their children all the time. I think I shared, I laugh about it now, it kind of wasn't funny, but I think I shared those two stories with you about the very abusive narcissistic parents. I honestly kept thinking maybe this would be worth going to jail for. I'm not kidding. But the one guy, he was so abusive that I thought, he's such a psychopath. One, his children are going to get it worse when they get home. And two, I'm like, the way he's acting out in public, I'm like, this dude might take me out. So, but I mean, I don't know how I got on that with the whole devalue. But I guess that really truly was related. Because those parents, when I noticed them in these public places berating their children, that's devaluing. And it is the most damaging that a child can go through. And I truly feel we need less of these kind of people on this earth, personally. Truly, I believe that. So, let's say you really like to cook. You're a pretty decent cook. It's something that you've been doing since you were a young person. You take great pride in it. It's kind of like your Zen. And you usually do get compliments on your food because you've really put a lot of love, a lot of effort into it, and it's something you enjoy. So every year, I am thinking small town, old town, because I grew up in a small town, but I'm originally from a large city and I've lived everywhere. But I just think this would be a cute example. So every year, the county fair has a competition for pies. Let's just say it's apple pie. I'm not sure how they do it, but let's say there's a competition for best apple pie. So all the local women of the town, you know, the ones who really enjoy cooking, they enter their pie into the contest. And let's call this lady Sarah. Sarah is not a narcissist. Sarah is an empath. She's kind-hearted, loves to feed her family and neighbors, and just full of love. She wins the contest. She wins the contest, and she's a housemaker, homemaker. She's a homemaker. She's feeling so proud. Her family's proud of her. Her children are just giddy because, you know, this is her forte, her jam, her thing, you know. Unfortunately, Sarah has a very narcissistic sister. So Sarah's having a family get together, and Sarah's narcissistic sister comes over, and everybody's kind of, you know, still on air because Sarah won this contest. It's kind of fun, you know, exciting for her. And Sarah's sister walks into this, it's like a barbecue they're having. She walks in and she says it really loud so everyone can hear. Well, Sarah, you know that was Mom's recipe, right? So right there, she just inflates everything. So it wasn't Sarah. Sarah didn't win the contest. She won the contest because it was Mom's recipe and not her love, time, and effort that went into it. So now Sarah feels really bad. She's going to feel shitty throughout the whole entire barbecue. Everybody, you know, the family members that are empaths are going to be all nervous. They're not going to want to talk about it. Sarah's going to be really sad, kind of pouting because she's been hurt. So there you go with the devalue. It's really unfortunate because I'm not sure how narcissistic brains look on scans. What do they call those? A PET scan or something? But what I understand from what I've read about it or studied is that a narcissistic brain is, I believe I might be wrong, the hippocampus. I forget exactly, to be honest, but there's a part of the brain that is responsible for empathy and compassion, and narcissists don't have it. Or they have it, but it's really not developed at all. So, in order for the narcissist to keep their fictitious narrative, their place in the world, they have to continuously go around devaluing other people. I believe at this point in my life that anytime you go to a restaurant, a gas station, a pharmacy, or anywhere in public, and you see some complete asshole completely berating and talking down to the service staff or to the shopkeeper, gas station attendant, whatever, my personal opinion is they're more than likely a narcissist. Now, when I say berate, I say, again, over the top, really ridiculous nastiness. We all get mad sometimes. You might just be pissed off because someone's being rude to you. But it's always like, it's got to be a big scene. Oh, you think you can mess with me? You don't know who the fuck you're messing with. Like that. Like, it's just got to be like, all eyes have to be on them. And a lot of times, people get a little scared because they are a little scary when they do these things. It's so, anytime I have an opportunity to jump in and tell a staff member, like, it's not you, I do that. I do that if I can. So, and again, I talked about certain systems. I truthfully believe a lot of systems that we have in place throughout our society are structured in narcissism. Like, I don't know, that doesn't sound right, but it's structured in a way that completely emulates or models narcissism. Performance reviews. Maybe one time I'll explain one of my firings. And I'm not proud that I got fired a lot. Well, I have mixed feelings, but, honestly, I was standing up for myself, so it probably was the best in the end. I didn't get fired a lot until I got a certain age, and I've talked about that with you guys. But, I was just thinking like a narcissistic, systematic, how do you say it? Systemic system. A narcissistic system that is emulating narcissism would be performance evaluations. This is my opinion. Now, however, you guys, if you take, I'm really hard on the managers. I don't mean to be. They're just easy examples. Let's just say you have a person that is in charge of other people. He's a manager. He's not a narcissist, though. But in order to play this little happy game, and everybody's a cog in the wheel of this pyramid system that sucks, in order for him to play the game, he has to do his job performances and tasks require him to follow along and go with the narcissistic system. Like performance evaluations, to me it is. To me, in my opinion, performance evaluations the whole thing's narcissistic. It's bullshit. I mean, you have to have some type of measurement, you do. But the way everything's set up is just, you're always having to answer to for something. It's actually, when I think about it, it's like our elementary and high schools, like elementary schools and high schools. The whole thing is ridiculous. If you spell enough words correctly, you get like 100%. I don't know how it is now. Everything's just so screwed up now. It's actually always been screwed up. But it's always, and that's a whole nother conversation. But why do you always have to be getting approval for shit? You know what I mean? I do remember reading years ago there in Japan, they have this different management system. And I think it was called a flat management system. I'd have to go look. It's been many years that I read about that. But the way that they operated their companies, and it was I believe a car manufacturer, instead of like this hierarchical bullshit system that we have, they had, it was like a real, true, authentic open door policy where any employee, if they had good ideas about engineering the car in a better way, they had any kind of good ideas for anything, they were listened to. And not only were they listened to, they were always given credit that they brought the idea. Obviously, we know hierarchical systems don't work at all, but it wasn't a human experiment, but it was like the article was just talking about how successful these companies were. And I just thought that was really cool. Japan is very advanced anyways, but I just thought how cool that was. And how come we can't do that more in America and other countries? So, yeah, I actually want to think more about that. I just think that's interesting, but all these like ridiculous things that employees are supposed to do in these various jobs. And honestly, even in, and I'm talking about the devalue. This is all about devalue. And honestly, I used to always think business owners had it made. They didn't get out easily either. So, I mean, we're all stuck in these like hierarchical systems that are constantly devaluing people all the time. And who are the ones who get penalized or punished? The ones who stand up for their rights, or the ones that stand up for their what's the word I'm looking for? They don't allow themselves to be talked down to or humiliated. Those are usually the ones who get fired immediately. So, yeah, I probably could make more videos on this. I'm just think about how women back in the old days were told that they had to stay home. And I'm 100% for women staying home with the children, like 100%. But what I mean is, so many women were so badly abused across the board, no matter what your culture, your skin color, which this is all fictitious bullshit that people make up anyways. But across the board, how heinously and horribly women were abused. I remember listening to Sinead O'Connor, and she was talking about how the system in Ireland had so many torturous abuses built right into their systems. It was awful. So that goes back to the devalue. We are surrounded by systems that are devaluing people all the time. So, I mean, I do think the devalue, there are various ways people can devalue. And I mean, we could talk 2 hours straight, 3 hours straight, about all the various ways that a narcissistic manipulator will devalue another human being. They can devalue animals as well. To me, those are even the lowest of the sickest of the form. So anyways, this is the beginning of the devalue videos. But I hope this was helpful to you guys. And sub and like if you choose. And have a good day or night wherever you are. Peace.